Okay, so we are finally at the point in our video where I can show you the last property, the tangent scale. To do this, I'm going to simply drag another spline into the viewport. I will then go to, after I close up some of these dialogues here, I'll go to spline mesh data, and let's choose the plane shape. Right. Okay, let's choose the plane shape. Just give it a simple material. Repopulate array right here to update or change. And there we go. Now it's rendering a plane instead of a cube. But let's make this really big, because in order to see the tangent scale at work, you have to make this pretty big. It only really works for large splines. So we'll just stretch out these points. Point here, add a point there, bring it up real nice and big. And I'll even create a point in the middle. Bring that up right there. Okay, there's one thing we forgot to do, and that is to look up the size of the static mesh we're using. And as you can see, it's 100 by 100 by 0. So, back in our scene view. So, now that we're back in our scene view, let's switch the spacing to be 100. Make sure that I'm using the simple spline technique. Okay. Let's use the complex technique here. We have our spacing correct, we're using the complex technique. Let's just bring some of these down just so I can see what I'm working with. So in order to fix this kind of blockiness here, as you can see, we will be adjusting the tangent scale. And the tangent scale is the amount that the tangent affects the spline mesh. Okay, so let's give it a value that I know that works, of 100. As you can see, we now have a nice curvature of all our spline meshes on our spline. And to get this number of the tangent scale, a bigger number doesn't necessarily mean better results. As you can see, if I put in 200, it looks pretty bad. You generally just have to experiment with this number until you get the spline mesh looking how you want it. Next, I want to show you how you can use different static meshes for different parts of the spline. To do this, we'll use the complex spline technique. So let's go to the spline mesh data, complex spline mesh array, set all this to cube. Cube will work. Let's just choose one at random, set it to something different, something way different, like a pillar. As you can see, you can use any static mesh you want at any point along the spine. Pillar's cool and all, but let's try something else. Maybe a larger cube. And you can see it just blends in. It's slightly offset because, well, it depends on where the origin is of the static mesh. But don't worry about that. Let's try something else, something with the origin at the center, like a sphere. The sphere works pretty good. So you can think of this like maybe knots on a rope, where these cubes would be your rope mesh and this sphere would be your knot. And, you know, you can still change the twist, the width, the thickness of it as much as you want. And you're not limited to just one. At any one of these points along the spline, you can change out the mesh. Just give another sphere there, another sphere here. So it's pretty cool. Now let's go back to using a pillar, because it brings up a good point. So get this pillar, and as you can see, the pillar This, well, let's look at the static mesh real quick. You probably want to render the pillar where this is the head and this is the tail. So essentially not looking like that. How you would do that is you would change the spline mesh forward axis. So if you put your mesh in there, it's not looking right, its orientation is off, then probably one of the first things you want to try is the spline mesh forward axis. We change this to Z. Now we can see this is the head of the pillar, this is the tail of the pillar. It's blending in perfectly into the spline. Pretty cool. One more thing I want to show is that if you switch over to the simple spline technique, your settings there are saved as well. For instance, let's modify this in some way. We'll give it a cylinder at the beginning at node 0. Sure, let's do that. Switch over to complex. My settings are still saved on either one. And that is it. If you like what you see, you can find this plugin on the Unreal Engine Marketplace. I'll put a link to the Marketplace page in the description. Thank you all for watching. I hope this was informative for you. And if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below and I'll try to get to them as soon as I can. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.